Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the RSCast week number 4 recap. And again, for this week, I'm joined by Barmanitan and Boopy. I'll start off with you, Boopy. How you doing tonight?
I am doing amazing. Yeah, ready to get into it. How are you?
Great. Definitely didn't get here last second on the dot. Barmanitan, you're the one late, obviously, not me. How you doing?
Of course. I was scrambling the whole way here, but no, another week we have completed here in RSC9, and another week with plenty of shocks and plenty of teams shaking it up in the table. So, but let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get straight into, as always, we start with the prospect here. We're going to go for the results. Already bottled it there, but we're going to go over to you, Boopy, first. I see your prospect. You've picked out here Zeno versus Prelude, Exelon versus the Cardinals, and also Caro versus Exelon as well. Exelon with both games.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, starting off with Zeno, despite finishing 8th last week, able to take down Prelude in a sweep, and Prelude being one of the stronger teams in Glacies, that's a really, really good result for them. So that was definitely interesting to me. Exelon also taking down Cardinals with, I do believe, I forgot to ask Ark before we started, I do believe he said it was with 2 FA subs? Either 2 or 1, I'm not sure, but still an amazing result for them. Exelon taking down Cardinals, top of the conference. And Caro taking down Exelon, securing the top of the conference for themselves. So it's been a crazy week in prospect for Ignis.
It's looking crazy indeed. And over to you, Barmanitan. You've picked out also Icicle's 3-1 loss versus Terra and Alters 3-1 onto Micah faction. And you also picked up the Oberon draw against Cardinals.
Yeah, going over to Glacies, this was a week hugely about the sub storylines. In that Icicle Terra match, Terra broke their winless streak by winning, but Icicle did play Tubby, and that allowed Terra a lot of gameplay in that one, and allowed them to take. It means that their season sort of a little bit rescued, as they were worried of falling off of the pace after going 8-0 in week 1. Remember how long ago that was for them. And then also the Alter versus Micah game was a 2-way sub battle. IC3 playing for Micah, Gem playing for Alter, and Alter came out on top, which you maybe could have expected from their position in the table if both teams are playing subs. But yeah, Gem stepped up after going 0-4 in his previous series playing, got that win for Alter, means that they keep pace with Mages, only 1 behind. And then going back to Ignis, Oberon Cardinals, after that other result Boopy's talked about where Exelon beat Cardinals really didn't have a very good week as they went 2-0 against Oberon, and it's not even as if they can really blame Killer B, because Killer B did win one of the 2 games he played, so the main roster went 1-1 as well, and there's if they'd won both of them when they weren't playing Killer B, then they would have been 3-1 and they would have been fine, I think, going 4-4, staying level with Exelon. But with that result means that, again, they're just dropping a little bit behind Exelon and Caro, but still obviously very close.
Yeah, I got to be honest here, Lunar Oberon, when I saw they drew to Cardinals, I was like, okay, did Cardinals just throw or what happened? But then I saw them on streaming as Underworld, then I was like, okay, wait, Lunar Oberon are actually a pretty strong side, and, I can't wait to see, if this team does climb up. But on the Glacier side, we've also got Majors going 8-0 week as well. That cannot go unsaid. Very good for them. But we're going to go over to the standings now. We're going to start with the Glaciers side first. See what shift happened here in the standings. Boopy, I'm going to go over to you as we do see quite a bit of movement here.
Yeah, we do. Majors knocking Alter down into 2nd, so Majors taking the top spot only by 1 game. Icicle staying in 3rd, Micah faction taking 4th. Tartarus, Barmanitan will be happy to know he's moved up to 5th, and Zeno in 6th. So a lot of movement up this week. It is still very close. I mean, if you look at 4th down till 6th, it is still a 3-way tie. But the top 3 teams, well, the top 2 teams definitely kind of have a strong lead in the conference.
Yeah, it's looking strong for now, and we're kind of approaching that mark where we are just past halfway through the league play. So these bottom teams, if they want to look to push for those playing spots, they got to start now. But we're going to go over to the Ignis tier, over to you, Barmanitan, to see if we see, somehow even more movement with all teams moving, or if it's going to solidify even less. But as we do see here on the Ignis standings, it's quite a lot less movement, with Caro actually taking 1st.
Yeah, that's the big storyline here, is Cardinals dropping down to 3rd with that 3-5 week, and Exelon, they overtake them, but then get overtaken by Caro, meaning that Caro jump ahead 24-8, huge thing to be proud of. And in a main roster that's made up of 3 debuting players, I've been talking about a lot on RSCast, because it's rare that you see 3 debuting players as one unit doing so well together and pushing forward. They're on a 5 winning streak. That's according to the database. It might even be 6. I'm not sure what their previous result before that was, but no one. The only other team to be unbeaten in 5 is my team Tartarus, and that's including 3 draws. So Caro at the moment are the form team, and they're not storming away with it. They're only 1 clear of Exelon, but they're looking like they might. The other change at the bottom, Oxygen overtaking Underworld. Oxygen did break their winless streak after 2 losses and 2 draws. Two losses and 2 draws. They got their second win of the season, and means that they overtake Underworld and only go 1 game off of overturning 6th in that final playoff spot.
Yeah, I just want to add before we move over, this game format of the RSC, Iztok, they've got 2 wins. Underworld, they haven't even won a series yet, but Underworld are ahead of Iztok because, they're grabbing those individual games. Even if they're losing a series, they're grabbing that extra win. It just shows how crucial every game really matters here in the RSC League play. But we are going to go over to the fixtures now to see which teams have an opportunity to rise up the table and if there's any top dogs to watch out for. And Boopy, I'll come over to you. Do you see any interesting fixtures?
Well, yes, I do. I mean, we've just spoke about Majors taking the top of Glacies this week, and Majors facing off against Alta has to be a match keeping your eyes on, because, I mean, that will really decide the top of the conference in Glacies. Another interesting one, Tartarus versus Prelude. I do really rate Tartarus, and Prelude have been one of the top teams. So I think that will be an interesting match as well. Apart from that, Xeno against Majors also catches my eye. Xeno has had a decent week this week, so that could be an interesting result as well. But yeah, those 3.
Yeah, we also got those 2 fixtures that are actually today. Icicle, Microfaction, Prelude, and Terra. So it'd be interesting to see how they go. And also Oxygen versus Overturn in the Ignis side. But over to you, Barmanitan. Any fixtures that take your fancy?
Well, it's another top 3 clash. Well, even top 3 because Cardinals did drop to 3rd, but Caro versus Cardinals going down on Wednesday. We've seen a few top 3 clashes coming out between Caro, Exelon, and Cardinals, but there will be another one this weekend. Again, will be a huge turning point if Cardinals can bounce back here and regain that 2-game gap that's opened up between these 2 teams, and we could see another shift in who leads Ignis next week. Elsewhere, you're maybe looking at some teams. Oberon, Oxygen, 2 teams tied in the table, both on 12 and both breaking their winless streak. So they're both sort of on some form of form going into this match, and that one could decide if one of them leapfrogs the other and pushes up to that 6th spot over Overturn, or if they will both stay close to the bottom together with Underworld and Iztok, who, I mean, also don't have the easiest week. Iztok on the bottom, going up against Pluton is maybe a slightly more winnable game, but also Cardinals is going to be a huge test for them to see if they can overtake Underworld.
Yeah, Oxygen, Luna, probably the series to watch out in the Ignis tier there, but that's going to be the prospect review all done and dusted as we go over to the Challenger tier now. We're going to go for those results to see what happened in week number 4. And over to you, Boopy. I see here that you did pick out Shrine's result onto Glacier, and then Glacier onto Parthenis, and also a couple of other ones that you pointed out.
Yeah, absolutely. Shrine versus Glacier was an interesting match for me. Top 2 dogs of Glacies facing off against each other. Ended in a 2-2, so it shows that those top 2 teams are fairly even. Another interesting result for me was Glacier versus Parthenes. Parthenes being 3rd last week, and Glacier managing to get the sweep, so knocking them down from 3rd into 5th. And also, Zyron had a really, really good week this week, also drawing Shrine, who I do believe is the top of the... they're second at the moment, but very close to top. So that result is very good. And also getting the 4-0 sweep against Orcus as well. Moving them up into 3rd. So Zyron having a very good week as well.
Yeah, very good week indeed. And as we go over to you, Barmanitan, you pointed out Apprentice's victory over Chorus, and also Scorn getting that victory over to Crusaders, and also overall sweep onto Fearless Delta.
Yeah, some interesting match results coming out there. I think Apprentices, it's a good result for them against Chorus again. It seems close to them in the table, but it does close that gap a little bit between Chorus and Apprentices, and Apprentices are breathing right down Chorus's neck because of that now. And it also broke Chorus's 2 winning streak, so they were looking like, with their first 2 wins of this season, that they might push on a little bit, but that win from Apprentices really knocked them back a little bit. Then we have Scorn versus Crusaders, who I've noted here, Scorn only lost that game 4 in OT, but it still wasn't enough for Crusaders to value keeping Satan's General, a man that's been in the RC for a very, very long time. He has been cut from Crusaders here, so it's going to be interesting to see how Crusaders can remold that roster and make sure that they're still keeping pace, because they got their first win after, I presume after that, for quite a while, but still requires a roster turnaround. Also, the same for Scoring, to be fair, because Ecliptus has left the team. He tried to leave, and and now he's gone. So a few teams in here in Ignis having to switch around their plans and how they will advance. And overall, Fearless Delta is quite a shocking result, I'd say, because overall have been back and forth. They had that 8-0 week, and then they'd been struggling to refine the same form. But that sweep over Fearless Delta will put them at the top. Once we go into the standings, you'll see that. And yeah, a bit surprising, but I mean, you can look at the goal difference of the two teams. Maybe it's justified, but Fearless Delta really felt that one, and they dropped down to third because of it.
Yeah, the players felt it, and I as a GM felt it as well. But enough of the pain for me. We will go over to the Glacier standings to see how the Glacier side shook up after that week. And as always, we'll go to you, Boopy. What can you tell us about the Glacier's Challenger standings?
Well, Glacier staying at the top, Shrine also staying at the top, and as I mentioned, Parthenaise being knocked down to 5th, Zyron taking their place in 3rd place. Pyromancers staying in 4th, but you have to notice the 3-way tie here between 3rd and 5th. It is really kind of anyone's game between those 3 teams. Chorus moving down into 6th, Apprentices staying 7th, Izuku Gang on the move up, and Neptunian and Orcus at the bottom. But you have pretty much a decided top 2 in this conference, and it's going to be interesting to see, I think, the battle for 3rd place in Glacies.
Yeah, for sure, and especially obviously with the kind of new format going into playoffs. Obviously, play-ins, every spot in the play-ins, it actually matters for seeding now. So it's going to be a big fight here for 3rd to 6th. But we're going to move over to the Ignis side now, and I do believe there is going to be some movement here up the top. Barmanitan, tell us about it.
Yeah, we will go into it here. Seeing that Overrule did grab the top spot because of that sweep, mostly because of the sweep over Fearless Delta. The other result was a draw, so they needed those wins over Fearless Delta to not only push themselves up, but make sure Delta were knocked down. Zion also overtaking them into 2nd. Again, huge storyline there about them being the previous champions, but Overrule more than putting up a match for them. And Andre, Robin, and I don't know why I went to the roster and I'm going to forget the 3rd man, but they've all stepped up in their series this week. And not top scorers. Masai are top scorers somehow down in 5th, but 2nd top scorers and 2nd best goals against. They're performing where they need to and getting those results. Cerebrus do overtake Masai onto that 2-way tie in 4th and 5th, and then Crusaders jump into that last 6th play-in spot despite their loss against Scorn and keep one ahead of them. Marcus and Helium jump down a little bit, but they're still very close. It's another story for Atlas, who are down on 7 wins, need to bounce back. You will see that Cerebrus and Helium are on 28 games here. Their game has been delayed, so maybe with that Helium will bounce back with the 3 results, where they get 3 games this week to try and improve, but there's no guarantee of getting anything against Cerebrus there, so somewhat concerning for them that they have a risk of joining Luna Atlas in a lonesome bottom 2.
Always seeing the closeness in wins here. 6th all the way down to 9th. Very close, all fighting for those playing spots. But we're going to head over to the fixtures now, heading up into week number 5 to see which teams can fight for their opportunities to slay into that top 6. Boopy, anything that takes your eye?
Absolutely. Well, obviously, Barmanitan mentioning Scorn having to have, being forced into a little bit of a roster change, losing Ecliptus. I'm going to have my eyes on their games. And I mean, they haven't got an easy one with Scorn versus Fearless Delta. Scorn versus Masai might be a little bit more interesting. And also, I'm going to have to keep my eye on Glacier versus Orcus. I do have a big rivalry with Senji. So, I'm gonna be watching that one. But apart from that, yeah.
Or just for my sake of your ego, I hope Orcus do sweep your Glacier team. But anyway, Barmanitan, over to you. What can you pick out?
Yeah, we will see more rivalries go down in Ignis. I mean, Fearless Delta versus Scorn, maybe something there with both teams taking hits last week and wanting to improve on that. Crusaders Cerebrus, one that's more in the middle of the pack, where Crusaders are just holding on to 6th and Cerebrus are a little bit further ahead and have that series in hand. So that one might determine whether Cerebrus can get out of that midfield fight and start to get into with the top 3 overall Zion and Fearless Delta, especially if some of them aren't picking up the results that they want.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm looking over at this Glacies tier. I'm looking at Pyromancers versus Parthenaires, both sitting exactly the same as, we will see in the standings as we will head over to. No, we won't. Oh,
Sorry,
anyway,
brother.
yeah. Moving on to the rival tier as we move Mistake to another tier now. We see these results, and Boopy, as always, we're going to head over to you first. I see you picked out Uranum's result versus Erebos, and Yoruba actually getting some results, and also Neri versus Unity, and obviously yourself, your team against Concerto.
Yeah, absolutely. Uranum, I was quite interested to watch the results this week after picking up Luke Unsworth, who we know is a solid player, and getting the 4-0 sweep against Erebos. What was a really good result. Also taking a game off Sorcerers, who's currently the top of Glacies. A decent week from them. Other results I picked out: Erebos versus Sanctum, a 2-2. I do really rate Sanctum as a team. And Erebos, I didn't rate kind of too much, but getting a 2-2 against Sanctum definitely does kind of prove me wrong there. They are definitely a solid roster. And also Concerto versus Blizzard. Concerto taking the 3-1 victory. Yeah, despite this being a sub game, it is a really good result for Concerto, and yeah, it will move them up the standings. So kind of our rival in Glacies at the moment.
And,
I think you've missed a talking point there. To be fair, because Uranum, you mentioned they win, but they'd lost their opening 7 matches before that. That broke their 7-match losing streak. So I think that's an even huger result for them.
Oh damn! Well, yeah, I mean it's expected with the roster change, but yeah, I mean huge result for them getting that sweep.
Well, before I pass over to you, Barman, I was going to point out Montbéliard. Obviously, to some people, they might see this 2-6 as of, oh, what is this? But I believe this was a FA sub week for them. So, not probably looking for a game or two at least onto Blizzard, but they get that draw to Zyphos. But over to you, Barman. I see you picked some results from the Ignis side actually as well. The Yoruba victory onto Sentinels, who do find their first defeat.
Yeah, and we've been talking a lot here on this panel about just how strong Sentinels have looked, but Yoruba, the first team to claim defeat over them, and now they're only 2 wins behind them, together with your team. But Fearless Charlie, you're chasing them. But I mean, all of them were 1-goal games, so very easily could have been Sentinel's second draw. But Yoruba held strong and made sure that they saw it through, grabbed that win, and keep themselves very much in the fight for top seed. On this side, the other one I spotted in Ignis rival here, Overkill 2-all Hydra, and it's a result that's pretty painful for the both of them at the bottom, but it means that despite it being Overkill's first non-defeat, and you can see in their other result there against Nitrogen, that one has also been postponed to next week, so that's why that one's on 0-0. But yeah, that means that Overkill have cut half of their roster. Spacey and Jackalos are out. The only 2 remaining are the GM and AGM in Brandau and DP76. So it's going to be a huge turnaround for them as well to see if, despite getting their first non-defeat, they've dropped that roster, and the 3 games next week, can they pull it back? Can they find a roster that's working a little bit more than getting 6 losses in a row?
Oh, anything's possible. We saw the AGM and GM, pull out a consistent season last season. So as long as they find themselves, some 2 teammates who can connect, I'm sure they'll do absolutely well. But we're going to go over to the standings. We'll head over to Glacies first, as always, and we got Sorcerers sitting up top with 5 victories in the last 5 games. And Boopy, take us away with every position moving about.
Every position moving, yeah. Sorcerers taking the top spot, Blizzard being knocked down into second, Sanctum taking 3rd spot, Montbéliard moving down into 4th, Concerto after that win moving up to 5th, Journeyman 6th, Erebos 7th, Zyphos 8th, and Uranum and Arena at the bottom. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of one of the tables that's the least close. The only tie really is 5th and 6th. And there is kind of 2 game jumps between kind of most of the positions, and a pretty well decided top 2. So definitely an interesting table.
But then everything's moving at the same time. So I mean, it's still somewhat close for that to happen.
What
I get your point though. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you never know. Anything could happen. Next week, it could be a
Exactly.
stalemate. They all stay dead on where they are. All go 4-4.
That would be bizarre.
Sorcerers go from top to bottom in 1 week. That
Uh,
would be miraculous.
Arena Tribe just whop out a double 8-0 week out of nowhere. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be sublime to see. But as we go over to the Ignis standings, Barman, as we do see the Sentinels find their first loss, and it does make that top 3 even closer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to say that a double 8-0, if I can do maths, well, it would not be enough for me to try to catch sorcerers. So improve your maths here, but
Called out. Oh damn.
yeah, Sentinels. I mean, this is a much more stalemated table, but it might, in some ways, it's actually closer because of that top 3 fight and Sentinels dropping their first loss, and they haven't hit double digits in game losses yet, but. Yoruba and Fearless Charlie, the team's trying to make that happen and chasing them in goal difference as well. And they're both above them in goals scored. So Sentinel's defense is what's keeping them at the top at the moment. The only change we do see is Toxin overtaking Neri under that, well, through goal difference because they're both tied on wins. But one behind Unity, they're a bit off the mark of the top 3, but they're certainly challenging and they're actually holding off the bottom 4 even better, which is what's arguably more important. As long as you get yourself into the play-in spot, you can have hope about that long run, and you can have hope about later in the season catching the top 3, but they're doing a really good job at holding off Pandora, Nitrogen, Hydrogen Overkill. I mean, Hydrogen Overkill sort of scuppering themselves with that 2-all draw. Nitrogen, one of those teams on 28, and so are Overkill, so that might be a chance for Nitrogen to tire now with the gap, but the only way they can do so is with a 4-0 sweep. And then they're still 3 behind Toxin and Neri, so it's looking like there might be a bit of a rift starting to form here in Ignis where the play-in spots are decided pretty early.
For sure, and Toxin could be one of those teams that could be hard to catch up with Angelo coming back in, and if he finds form, if he finds his form back in this roster, Toxin, they're probably gonna be a team who could climb into that top 4 and maybe challenge going into that third, depending on the results in that top half of the standings. But that's gonna wrap it up for the rival standings as we go over to the fixtures to see who's gonna go head to head in week number 5. And as always, Boopy, I'm gonna start off with you. Anything that surprises you or you look forward to?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking at Uranum versus Sanctum. Uranum obviously making a roster change, getting one good result in, taking a game off Sorcerers as well. It's going to be interesting to see how they play against Sanctum, another one of the top teams in Glacies. Apart from that, I want to look at Erebos's games. They've had a few decent results, so it's going to be interesting to see how they perform against Concerto and against Montbelliard. Apart from that, probably Yoruba's games. Yoruba really having a good performance last week, beating Sentinels. So yeah, probably some of their games. But those are the ones I pick out.
Yeah, I do look forward to see if they use sub games here because I do believe Sentinels and Fearless Charlie have done their sub games. So it's gonna be interesting to see if Yoruba, do they pull out sub games here and maybe lose that tie, or how they're going to shake out. I don't know, but we'll see in the future, I guess. Barmanitan, any games that you can pick out?
I think it's a pretty interesting week for Pandora, considering we've just been talking about how they're 4 behind Toxin and Neri on 17 in the last 2 play-in spots. They play each of those teams going into this week, so if they get a win in each of those, then they're right back up into those challenging spots, and making Toxin and Neri look behind when Toxin are a team that are wanting to push forward. And, with the return of Angelo and that storyline, there's definitely concern there that Pandora might be about to ruin that going into next week. And then I think the match closest to the top of the table will be Sentinels versus Unity. There's a lot of top versus bottom in this week, I'm noticing, in Ignis. Well, at least that's what I'm talking about at the moment. But yeah, Sentinels versus Unity. It's another chance for Sentinels to try and assert their dominance at the top of Ignis. But Unity, they're a team that have been getting results. 3 games that they didn't lose in the last 5 and 4 wins overall. Pretty strong, but still a bit of a ways off with Sentinels' form so far this season, and this is another testing point for them to see if they can keep pace with the top 3 from Ignis.
There's some great fixtures here. Personally, for me, there's 2 in the Glacies. For me, it's just Sorcerers and Sanctum and Montbelliard versus Sorcerers as well. There's some very top games, and whoever wins those looking to take dominance in their respected conference. But we finish up with the rivals here. We're going to move over to Elite, and we're going to head over to the results first, as always, to see what spiced up in week number 4. We're going to go to you, Boopy. You picked up Andrew, Enclave, Saturnia as well.
I did, yeah. Anju really surprised me this week. They had a very solid week, getting the 3-1 win against Avalanche, as well as Rhapsody, and ending the week 6-2, which moved them up to third place in the conference. So a very solid week from them. Saturnia as well, also having an amazing week, ending it 5-3 and playing Bladesmiths and Zalo, which are arguably two of the strongest teams in Glacies, being able to get the draw against Zala and beating Bladesmiths, who's currently top of the conference. That was a really good week from them. Enclave, they got a really good result against Venom. I didn't expect Venom to be drawing to Enclave. I know that Venom did play a few games with their sub Arc, but Arc still is a very strong player for Major. So yeah, that was a result that just kind of surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Enclave on stream as well. I can't remember their other fixture. I think it was Overtake, I believe. You know, even though it's like two bottom kind of table teams, it was such a great matchup. And Enclave kind of showing potential within their team. But as we go over to you, Barmanitan, you did pick out, obviously, you picked Saturnia as well, but you also picked out the Fearless Bravo 1-7 week with the sub and also the Zalor draw to Rhapsody.
Yeah, it's yet more pain for you, but you were talking about it before coming into tonight. But it's not been a fantastic week for Fearless Esports, and especially not for Fearless Bravo here. That streamed match against Oasis, they definitely had chances to pull it back after they went 2-0 down, but they dropped the fourth game, meaning they lost 3-1. And there is something about Liam Nicholas playing all 8 this week when he hadn't played at all before this week, and you're wondering, despite his RSC experience, maybe he's lost his touch a little bit because he needs to step up a little bit more than that if Fearless Bravo are to keep pace, and they've definitely dropped a little bit from that now top 4 that's emerging, maybe even top 3 as Luna IO don't keep up with him and Eros do jump up, but yeah, a bit damaging for him. The other thing I was going to say about Zalo Rhapsody and how 3 players, but from 2 different teams, it wasn't like domination from one team as you wouldn't expect from a draw, I guess, but 3 above 450, Sky, Mercurius and Saison all having a fantastic series, and it's really impressive to see some of the standout performances. And in the game, Boopy mentioned Saturnia beating Bladesmiths. It was Bladesmiths' first loss as a main roster was the point I found, but also Limis, 522 points per game, and he had 7 goals, and when everyone else had 2. So it was really standout from Limis in order to get Saturnia that win, and he can certainly be proud of that game to push for Saturnia up in the table.
If anyone's got Limis in their fantasy league, they're going to be happy about that one, as we will find out about that later on. But that does wrap it up for the results. But we're going to go over to the standings to see how things changed up. And we're going to start off with the Glacies tier. Boopy, take it away.
Well, Bladesmiths staying in top despite losing to Saturnia, which just kind of shows how far ahead they were last week. Zala also staying in second. Anju, after their really good week, moving up to third. Rhapsody, fourth. Saturnia also having a great week, moving up to fifth. Avalanche moving down to sixth. Oracles and Temple staying in seventh and eighth. And Megumin, Cult, and Thanatos staying at the bottom. And the only real ties at the moment is just that tie for third place between Anju and Rhapsody. And all of the teams are really kind of catching up to the top teams in Glacies. So it's going to be interesting to see how this table kind of mixes up next week.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting indeed to see, but we'll find out at the end of week number 5 as we go over to the Ignis conference. Barmanitan take us away there, where we have Venom, Eros, and Argon all at 24 wins.
Yeah, for a moment in this conference, it looked like Venom and Argon were going to storm away with top 2 and guarantee their spots, but Eros, as Embers pointed on the chat, went 8-0 this week in order to try and make sure that they're still a part of that conversation, tying it up with those 2 teams, and that's huge for them when they've had so many tests. That winning 3 in a row now and 2 sweeps in a row, that is absolutely ridiculous, and now they're even keeping pace in the ridiculous goal difference precedents that Venom and Argon have been setting. So really, really encouraging from them that they're able to break out of that sort of top 5 conversation and make it into that top 3. We see Luna IO and Fearless Bravo, as I said, dropping down. Well, they don't drop down, but they sort of lose sight of those top 2 spots, which really matter for the upper bracket spot. And then Oasis overtaking Vanguards into 6th place, that all-important 6th place. And, they had that win on stream. They're clearly feeling themselves a little bit, and it was an unbeaten week. Before that win, they had a draw, which was their first draw of the season. So they do well to keep themselves unbeaten there and try and build up some momentum going forward. Enclave, I would say it was a good week for them. They had tough opponents, and getting the 2 draws is good in order to stay only 2 behind Oasis. Overtake on 7, they grab another draw this week. Still looking a little bit interesting, but Zulu, they picked up their first game win, and then they got a forfeit win over Overtake because they'd used illegal subs. So, guys, Zulu are here to play, clearly.
Oh, no. I really hope they beat Buddha's elite team from last season, but I just don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen now.
I mean, it pains me to say this. We have just played Zulu. And
no.
From looking at the chat, it doesn't look good for me.
Oh no.
So Zulu could not be 10th after today. I don't know. I don't know if my team are trolling me. I don't know. But either way, we're gonna head over to the fixtures to see what is looking up, and hopefully I don't find out about that result whilst we're hosting this. But Boopy,
I got my eyes on the score reporting, but don't worry.
Please don't do this to me, man. The second it comes in, you're going to be on it. Anyway, over to you, Boopy. What results, except from the one I'm painfully waiting to hear about?
Right. Well, I'm going to be looking at Zala versus Oracles. It will be quite an interesting one for me. Also, looking at the other side of the conference. Venom versus Eros will be an interesting game. Also, Fearless Bravo versus Argon will be another interesting game. There's a lot of interesting games in Ignis this week, I think.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm looking at Ignis, and it's just there's so many matches that have taken my eye so far, and obviously I don't want to take the spotlight away from Barmanitan and leave him no games to pick from. Which ones are you looking for, Barman?
I think it's really the week of Eros here. They went up against 2 mid-table teams last week and went 8-0. Now they're going up against the 2 teams joining them in the top 3, Venom and Argon. And if they can survive that onslaught, then surely they have to be considered one of the favourites for this elite tier. Further down, we will see Luna IO versus Vanguards, and it's a Luna IO team that is trying to keep pace. You know, they're still unbeaten in 5. Well, they're still unbeaten. They're yet to lose. The only team I think in this whole tier with Argon to not be beaten, but with 3 draws means that they're 3 wins behind that top 3, and going up against Vanguard's a team that's been up and down. It's a team that won their 2 games in week 3 and then just lost their 2 games in the week just passed in week 4. So it's a team that can yo-yo and could definitely spring a surprise onto the Luna IO team that is a fan favorite. A lot of people. Nick on that roster has a lot of people thinking that he can do a lot of damage in this tier, but they're yet to fully prove that yet as they do stick in 4th.
Eros got a very tough week up ahead of them. Anything positive they've got to be happy with, but they're probably going to be looking for a double victory because why wouldn't you look for that? And I just feel bad for Glaciers. You know, there's not really any outstanding fixtures when you have such good ones in Ignis. It's like Glaciers is just like, yeah, you got this and this, but there's not really a standout fixture here, which is unfortunate. But either way, you know, all these games are crucial, especially heading into week 5 where we are just over halfway in league play. So every game really does matter at this point. But that is it for Elite, as we are going to wrap up for that. But we're going to go over to the Master tier now. We're going to see the results first of all, as always. And Boopy, I see here you have pointed out Sub-Zero, Zoo. Yeah, just pretend I know that one. Storm, Fearless, and Carnage.
I have. Yeah, well, Sub-Zero against IOV. This was quite a surprising result for me. We used an FA sub against IOV and still got the 3-1 somehow, even though IOV being the top in the conference. So a really good result there. Zeo getting the 3-1 against Phoenix and also sweeping Rias Legion as well. So moving themselves up into top spot at the moment in Glacies. So really good week for them. Storm, I was interested in their games and their results this week just because of the roster changes they made. Unfortunately for them, they got swept by Lunar Titan. They did manage to bag a 2-2 draw against Gladiators, which is a decent result. But they have lost Felix this week as well, one of their main roster players. So Storm in a really sticky situation kind of next week because they have to kind of schedule their games and find a new player. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform. Fearless, you're going to love this one, Buddha. I'm gassing you up.
Okay.
Fearless getting a 2-2 against Dion, a solid result from them because Dion, I do believe, one of the top teams, and Fearless was quite low down so far. So good result from them. And the only other team I wanted to mention was Carnage. Came to my attention as well that Carnage will be losing Strafe after this week. I believe he has accepted a job offer or something and can't play. So it's going to be interesting to see how Carnage perform from here on without Strafe.
Oh, well, all love to Strafe. He's been putting on good performances as we've seen him on stream. Well, Barmanitan, we're going to go over to you. I see you pointed out here Hades' draw to Nocturne, and also Pyrrhix's 3-1 over to Overwatch, the 3-1.
Yeah, we'll start off with Nocturne Hades. It was a match with three games going to OT, and two of them were Nocturne winning in game 3 and 4 to make sure that didn't turn into a disastrous week for them, and they at least stay second as you did overtake them. And I mean, I also think that was a huge statement from ZU after they get swept by Sub-Zero and they go 7-1 to bounce back. But Nocturne sort of allowed them a way through there, especially when their other result was that top 2 matchup at the start of this week against IOV, and they dropped to a draw there as well. So they're struggling to get the results when they really need them. And I mean, they're still top 2, but it's a massive race there at the moment, as we'll see when we go into the standings. The Perks versus Overwatch result I picked out was interesting because it was the only win from the bottom half of this whole tier in this week's, and a lot of it was down to Dragonair. He had 8 goal involvements. I think it was 4 goals and 4 assists, so providing both ends of the spectrum in the attacking sense, and that went over Overwatch. Yes, it's a team below them in the table, but they still got it, and that's tough as well when everyone else around you is drawing and losing. But you think here's our chance to go ahead. You take that, and you do well. And the only other thing I had done was Dione going 3-5. So yes, Fearless Alpha did well to get that draw against Dione, but Dione sort of letting them draw in that one, and then their other result being that defeat to Carnage, kind of disappointing for them, and means that they're sort of dropping down into the mid-table fight a little bit more.
Well, they get their first, well, not the first victory, but the only victory in the bottom half. But as we go over to the standings, we're going to head over the Glacies first for that conference, and we see a 3-way tie here, 2nd to 4th. Boopy, tell me about it.
Yeah, well, ZEU, as I said, launching their way up into the top of the conference. Nocturne staying 2nd, Sub-Zero moving up to 3rd. Ivy dropping down from top to 4th, which is quite interesting. Phoenix staying 5th. Rias Legion moving down into 6th. And then, Hades, Chianina, Warlocks, and Haven staying in the same position as the previous week. But the interest for me here is, ZEU is at the top, but only by 2 wins, and there is a 3-way tie, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So it's really going to be interesting to see who is going to be top of the conference next week. It could still be ZEU, it could be another team. So that's going to be interesting to watch out for, as well as the tie between Phoenix and Rias Legion as well. So it is a very close table, this one.
Yeah, we've also got Haven and Warlocks fighting to not be 10th down there with similar goal difference, similar wins. Hopefully they break out into that top 8. But we're going to head over to Ignis, where we do see Carnage remain top. And Barman, take it away with what's happened here in the Ignis conference.
Yeah, Ignis a little bit further spread at the top as Carnage have a 3-game lead, and then you need to go another 2 games and another 2 games to find the next 3 teams compared to the 3-way tie that's in Glacies. So some things going on there. Dione going 3-5 to let Luna Titan leapfrog them, and then Einsteinium jumping over Dogon and Gladiators. I think Gladiators can be okay with their week, considering it was 2 draws against, I'd say, decent opposition. So that's not the worst week for them, despite dropping a place. And then we have Perks with their only win in the bottom half of the table, overtaking Fearless Alpha despite their good draw against Down. Fearless Alpha did lose their other match, so maybe more explanation as to how Perks overtook them. And the team Boopy was probably most concerned about Storm here. They're definitely looking lackluster down at the bottom. 7 wins, minus 33 goal difference. Not quite as bad as Warlocks and Haven on the other side, but still very much cause for concern. And going into the halfway point, you're wondering if they can bounce back from it. We've been talking about them since the very start of this season, what they can do to bounce back, but they just keep on not finding a way. And Panic's really going to have to find something here if he is to pull this team down from the depths.
Well, anything can happen. Hopefully Panic can revive that team heading into the last few weeks of league play. But we're going to head over to the fixtures. We can see who Storm have to face to start that comeback, and also to see what other top games are to be watched for. And Boopy, I'll start with you.
Absolutely. Well, as I wait for the stream to show me the games, Yeah, I'll be watching ZU against Hades. I do think Hades is a really strong elite team, and ZU being one of the top, the top of the conference, that's going to be interesting. A game. I can't speak. That's going to be an interesting game as well as ZU versus Nocturne. That's going to be an interesting game to watch as well. The top dog and the second place facing off against each other. Other interesting results. Carnage versus Einsteinium. I'll be watching Carnage's games this week just because of losing Strafe, seeing how they perform. So probably Carnage versus Einsteinium and Carnage versus Fearless Alpha will catch my eye.
Yeah, I remember watching I think it was the interview Einsteinium. I remember one of the players saying how the top dogs they want to look for wins here. They're not looking to lose at all. So I'm interested to see how they're going to perform against those top dogs as they they have climbed up the standings. But Barmanitan, we're going to go over to you. What results what fixtures are you looking for heading into week 5?
I'm going to put the focus back on Dione here. They're going up against maybe slightly easier opposition. Storm at the bottom and Dogon. The draw merchants seemingly they're tied top in draws in the whole of RSC at the moment on 5 together with Sanctum from the rival tier. But considering their sole win was 5 matches ago and they've drawn, lost, drawn since then, maybe this is a week where Dione can bounce back and try and make sure that they don't let Carnage and Luna Titan run away with it. I think that's going to be also reasonably difficult considering Titans matchups this week. They have Overwatch, the team that's not quite bottom where Storm is, but just above them, and Perks, a team that's on the up, but still reasonably far down the table, and I would say overall probably a worse team than Dogon. So I mean, there's probably more chance to increase it, but Dione, they can certainly make a statement here if they want to keep pace. And I mean, on the same token, Carnage have that easier game against Fearless Alpha, and then the tougher game against Einsteinium. That's maybe going to be the one to watch from Carnage. Still yet to lose. I think the only team unbeaten in the Master Tier. Yeah, they are. So it's going to be another week for them to prove their dominance at the top, but a week where we could maybe see Dione and Titan pull it back a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I just looked at the master score reporting, and ZU did actually just beat Hades 3-1. So that's a result to take into hands, extending their 2-game lead in the standings. And before we move over, I just wanted to pick up how recently with the Fearless Alpha roster, I think for Storm this is a great opportunity for them to get back on kind of a winning trail here, because obviously we're just losing Larson, so a roster change is going to be happening. So I think for Storm here, this is a good series to bounce back from, and obviously Carnage.
Yeah, they haven't even won it all yet. So,
you never know what can happen, but either way, that is. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's gonna wrap up the master tier as we do go over to the one tier that me and Boopy, we know everything about this tier.
Oh, absolutely.
Course, we know everything about it, but it is the Premier tier. Week 2 has happened, and just for the sake of the embarrassment, we're gonna go to you, Barmanitan, as you know the most of it.
Yeah. Another. Well, I mean, I said another. It's only the second week in Premier, but some extra huge results in here. I think the team that has to be most talked about in this tier so far is Trinitas Esports. And what a couple of weeks it's been for them. They take down Null in a 4 sweep, and now they beat London Esports 3-1, standing top of this Ignis conference together with Dustsucker on 7-1. And although London weren't playing their full roster, Tango is still a really, really good player, and it took a huge amount of effort from them. Shane got 402 points per game, and that was a big performance for them to keep up their top performance in this Ignis side. Another one over to the other side, we have Must Do Fluck beating 0-0 Prospects, the Nordic rivalry coming out with Norway versus Denmark a little bit. All of them were 1-goal games, but Must Do Fluck took 3 of them, and it means that they will jump above them after both of them had drawn their first game. The other thing I'd mentioned was Centurions and Null getting on the board. There were the 2 teams who get swept last week, but instantly making sure that does not continue. But the little bit disappointing for Null, considering they were 2 up against Nami Brigade, and then they lost game 3 and 4 in OT like a team did earlier. I can't remember who that was. I think it was Nocturne beating their opponents, Hades, in the last 2 games. So another parallel to be drawn there, but Nami Brigade will be hugely thankful for those 2 games, because they're another team that's going to be struggling to find results all through this season, and that is a good thing for them.
Yeah, Centurions as well, subbing up an elite in that series, in the Premier series, and it was a very close series. So I mean, that really surprised me when I found out they subbed up. I think it was SK. and played SK in Premier and got the got one game and a very close series. So that was interesting.
Very interesting. Stepping up, get to play against the big boys. But we're going to go over to the standings. As always, we will start with the Glacies Conference. And we've got a two-way tie up the top. And, Boopy, we don't need to know too much about this one. So you can take it away for the standings here in the Glacies Conference.
Yeah, well, we see a lot of ties. In fact, it's almost perfect to look at. 4 ties in the table. Tie for first and second, third and fourth, fifth and sixth, and seventh and eighth. So, yeah, it is very close. It will be with Premier because of the only there being 1 game a week. But Dustsucker and Trinitas sitting at the top at the moment, followed by Solaris and London Esports. And we'll have to see how the table kind of changes going forward.
For sure. I look forward to see how Null can climb back up. We're getting their roster back together. But we're going to go over to the Ignis side. We'll take it to you, Barmanitan.
Yeah, I will just clarify here. This was the Ignis side, and the next one is
I was just thinking that.
Right. Yeah.
Wait, what? What?
This is the Glacies conference. It is the wrong header. Apologies for that, but still, you can see which teams were. And the labels are only, they only matter a little bit. It could be considered groups A and B, but yeah, here we have Luna and TT Vilhaben at the top. They haven't gone 7-1 like Dustsucker and Trinitas have on the other side, but still doing very well. Luna going 3-1 and 3-1. TT Vilhaben did have to draw here to Finale this week, who are they the only team to have 2 draws? Yeah, so they're looking to be the draw merchants in Premier here, but TT Vilhaben can still be proud of that, and they've got the 2 good goal differences here, +10 and +8. That is better than Trinitas, to be fair. Somehow they're only on +5 despite winning 6 games. Then Musufluck on 5 in third. I mentioned their win against 0-0 Prospects to boost them up. Austrian Force, they bounced back from their first week defeat to grab their first win of the series. And we go further down. Cagliari Calcio, I think, can be a little bit upset with this week, considering their very encouraging first week result against 0-0 Prospects this week. They were the team that lost Austrian Force to let them overtake them. So -9 goal difference and only 3 wins in the board. Considering they're together with 0-0 Prospects, you can show that any team can be anywhere in this tier, but yeah, disappointing for them. And Centurion still struggling at the bottom, the worst performing team so far. But if they can get a win with an elite, with an elite player, then surely or was it Master or Elite? Maybe it was Master. If you do know, okay.
Sorry, it was Master. Sorry, that's my bad.
Yeah, tier changing's getting to Boopy there. It happens to all of us. But they scored the same amount of Cagliari Calcio, and only one behind Austrian Force. It's going to be tough for them the whole way through, but they have to take their chances, and they certainly are capable of it.
Yeah, well, with the 1 games a week, even a sweep, that can shoot you up massively
Absolutely.
here in the standings. But that's enough for the standings. We're going to go over to the fixtures for, it will be week number 3 for the Premier Tier. And, Boopy, not knowing too much, but is there a fixture here that you do look forward to?
Yeah, absolutely. I do look forward to Musufluck versus Cagliari Calcio. Hopefully I'm not butchering that completely. But that's going to be interesting. Also, Dustsucker versus Solaris, I think, will be an interesting match. Dustsucker being top. I believe Solaris is tied for 3rd. So that will be kind of a close match. Might decide kind of what happens in the standings. So those 2 I've got my eyes on.
Well, we'll go over to you, Barmanitan. Is there one that we should really be looking to watch out for? Is there any kind of underdog story here, or what's happening here?
I think Ascens Trinitas is interesting because, for me at least, I would have had Ascens being above Trinitas at this point in the season. But Ascens 2-6 and Trinitas 7-1, it could be an upset. The fact that Trinitas just keep going with their season. If they get a result here, then I'm looking at them to finish in one of these upper bracket spots in the top 2, where they're looking so good, already 3 clear of each of 3rd and 4th in Sistema Solaris and London Esports. Another one, maybe Luna Esports versus Finale. It's another top half fixture with Finale drawing their 2 games and Luna winning their 2 games. This could be where Finale finally get their win in the board and stop Luna's unbeaten streak, or winning streak even, as that one goes down tomorrow. But it's another huge test for them. And Finale, it's going up against the previous season champions again. That's the thing about Luna Esports, is that they have the most successful RSC experience anyway out of any of these teams. So plenty of interesting results. As we say, every game matters. It matters doubly in the sense in Premier because of the fact that there's half the game. So yeah, any sweep that comes out here could see that any team rushing up the standings, as you said, but.
That one open net miss could literally throw you play-ins, playoffs, or it could throw you everything. But we do finish up with the Premier Tier, and correctly this week we're going to head over to the franchise standings. Now,
Yes.
I know one person who would gladly love to take this one.
A certain person.
Don't give it to me. Don't give it to me.
Barmanitan, you take it. You take it. I can't have Boopy in my ear all night. I can't.
Well, guys, you might notice that there's two franchises standing atop of this table, but Arctic Frenzy do indeed overtake Symbiotes on goal difference. And yeah, this might be more of a storyline than we've ever seen in the franchise standings before. It's going to be a really, really good battle. Also, we have Galamo going into the top 4 after we had Leroni on last week to talk about their chances. He does bring his franchise immediately into this top 4 and even to top 3 over Fearless Esports and Fort Templar, who dropped down to 6th. Zimtra go up to 5th after improving this week, I would say, and good goal difference above Fearless Esports, above them, and Fort Templar. And we have Dark Magic on -5. Pretty impressive that they're this high up the table, considering the amount of goals that are going against him. Shaman on +40, 45 goal difference there between 7th and 8th. It's interesting to see how differing these standings can be in the terms of goals for the teams. Forge and Overture overtaken by Dark Magic and Shaman, then Sanctuary sticking firm in 11th, Ox Gaming dropping to 12th, Element and System of Solaris following up in 13th and 14th. Then Luna and Voltec, the last movers in this tier, both overtake Nines Esports and Might of Hades, Waifu Fan Club, and Override closes out at the bottom, all struggling to get off of that bottom 3 opposite of pedestal.
I got to put out that I'm impressed by Shaman Esports. I mean, how are they 8th with a +40 when they've got
Impressive.
a Zulu? Like, how?
Okay, there's also that point, yeah.
It's impressive. Like, I did this last season. I had a Fearless Alpha, which are like a Zulu, but I wasn't up there. It's crazy. It's fair credit to Papusa. He's obviously made some strong rosters in all the other tiers. It's fair play to him, but that does wrap it up for the franchise standings. Hoping to see movement going after week number 5, but we are going to go over to the special guest, and it's different every week, and you know what? You want to know who it is, chat? Well, it is Liquid Sight. First of all, Liquid Sight, welcome to the RSCast.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going great.
I'm glad to
Good
be
to have you, good to have
part of
you.
this segment. Pardon?
Good to have you, I said.
Well, obviously, welcome here to the RSCast. And Boopy, I'll let you take it away with your questions first.
Oh, let's go. I mean, I think we all have a question we want to know the answer to.
He's been looking forward to this one, Sight.
One of the most important questions. Is it true that in Canada you put milk in bags? And if so, why?
So as a point of clarification, it is not all of Canada, just to make this even worse.
Okay.
Wow.
This is exclusive to 2 of our provinces. This is Ontario, where I am, and I believe also I think BC, one of them on the West Coast. Why do we do it? I don't know. It's never really been answered. Maybe it's tradition. I really don't have any good answer for you. I hear that allegedly it takes up it's less waste, it's less space. I don't know. For me, it's I love just talking about it because it boggles everyone's mind. It's just like,
pretty much.
why aren't you using cartons? Why aren't you using glass? Anything. The funny thing is,
anything else.
we do have cartons. We do have cartons of milk. So
Wait, Wait,
yeah,
what?
we have 1 liter cartons of milk. We have 750 ml. We have 500 mils. But we also have the what is it? It's 1 gallon. So I think it's
a gallon of milk. Oh my god!
It is a gallon of milk. It's in 3 bags. So it's a bag of bags.
A bag of bags. Drag that home. Damn.
Yeah. But the funny thing is that you take the bag out of the bag and you put it in a carton.
So you put it in a carton anyway. Oh god. Oh, that makes me laugh. Anyway, my other question is, obviously you started off your RSC journey in NA. How have you found it over in EU, and what kind of made you decide to switch over to us?
EU is I resonate more with the community here. It's a different type of community. It's a different kind of game. What drew me to EU side was a lot of the top end staff. I've had conversations with them for, well, I guess going on a couple years now. Starting out with some of the show matches, and it just kind of led to a natural progression of how I can get involved with helping out this community. And then I took my first official community or first official season on staff, which was 8. And then I thought, what the heck, let's see what happens if I actually play. How bad was it? And it's difficult. You guys are tough over here. No one's taking it easy on me. Everyone sees the ping and they're like, no one's taking it easy. I don't get any leeway at all. So it's great. There's a few night owls I've created a bit of a relationship. Boopy, you're one of those that stay up pretty late.
Yes, sir.
There's a few other people that I've caught up with quite extensively. So it's been fun. It's great because I have roots in EU, so I know that if I ever make it across the pond again, I've got lots of people to hit up and talk to.
Nice. Yeah, I think on your point that about the community, I think we do have one of the best communities over here in compared to a lot of leagues. So I think that's good, but I will pass it off over back to either Buddha or Barmanitan, one of the two. Whoever wants to take the floor.
Either. It's just a Barmash. We're just both sitting in silence, just never take it, Well, but before I pass you over to Barman, obviously we saw you most recently. You made your debut cast here on the RSC as well. How did you find it?
Oh, that was awesome. That's officially my second time ever casting. Anything actually. So I did an emergency stream for Northampton. Am I pronouncing that right? If I'm not, Roehampton. Excuse me. It was one of the Hamptons. I mean, we got a Hampton Inn over here, but that's a chain. And I thought, what? I've always wanted to do that. I enjoy talking, as you can tell. I think you guys have asked me one question each, and I've probably talked for about 15 minutes. So it's great. And then I get to watch some different level and caliber of Rocket League, and I get a chance to analyze and break that down. And then also, there's the opportunity to have a front row stage for potential competition. Although that really hasn't helped us. We are definitely holding down the bottom of our division quite well. So maybe that's just our plan.
Well, we'll find out in the future weeks, but I'm sure Barmanitan's probably got you some questions, maybe about your performance as well. But Barmanitan, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, Boopy's talked about your integration into EU, but I mean, you were part of. I've got this right. You were part of the setup of EU in the very beginnings of what we know now. So how did you find it setting up back then, and how have you found coming back into it and seeing where we are now and how it's grown since I mean 2 years ago, nearly 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I was part of the original frameworkers of North America. Now it was called something else at the time, but I was part of that small group that helped kind of bring that to fruition. RSC has evolved far beyond what we expected it ever to become, and to see the EU division under your guys' directions of Frizzle and Archeon, and of course Barmanitan and I'm gonna forget a few people here, Yannick and Senji, all the admins and all the staff. You guys have done a great job of turning it into something different from North America, right? Because we share the name, we share the core value, the culture, but it's a different league. I mean, North America was always brought up on the roots of a planned schedule. Here it's flex schedule, which for me is perfect, right? Because I got a 6-hour time zone difference. So for me, that's fantastic. You guys brought in sponsorships and grew the league, and you're growing exponentially. North America just grew through exposure and just kind of a natural progression. So the communities are different. The way the game is played is different, and the leagues are different. So it's really fantastic to actually see how the different leagues are progressed. And I made a prediction a long time ago to some people. I said within 3 seasons of EU having a sponsorship and having monetary value, that they would outpace North America in terms of players. And I know North America, they sit around 1,200 players. So I don't know where you guys are right now with RSC9.
We're
I
coming.
can't give you
We're
the exact
coming.
number.
I mean, but Barm's
It's
got you
definitely
cut
not
up
quite
on it.
1,200 though. They're still ahead of us.
They have more
But
tits though. That's my excuse.
of course. But yeah, I mean, huge thanks and for all the praise and huge thanks for being part of that group that allowed this to happen. I mean, EU, you know, talking about all of its benefits and maybe how it's better than NA in some ways and how NA is better than EU in some ways. How those comparisons are drawn, but EU is hugely based on the groundwork that you built up on the NA side, and it wouldn't be where it is today without all of the work that you and people like Cake did in the background there. So yeah, there's that. But I'll jump back to the present a bit more. You're talking about your your place in the table at the bottom of Iglesias, and we did play each other and we drew each other. So you know I know and you beat us in preseason, so I know a bit about your team and how you definitely have qualities. I mean, my teammates were going into it expecting to win. I was a bit more cautious, and in the end, right to be considering you got the draw against us. But how are you finding your chances of moving back up? You're 6 off of the pace of the play-in spots. You know, you think you believe in your team, or you just more in it for the fun of and experiencing the EU side of the actual Rocket League?
I mean, it's a bit of a mix of both. I do have a competitive nature, but I'm here for a good time, right? Not here for a long time, just here for a good time. Some of the older folks are going to get that. But it's a fed again. I came here, I was drawn to the community, as I think most people can attest to. You know, in terms of the standings, I think we made a roster change, which is great. So we'll see how that kind of slots in. If for me, I've got to be. The problem with me is with that ping, I have to be better, right? So I'm. You know, I think my CMV was 1285, which was pretty much top of prospect. But to compensate, I almost have to be playing at a challenger level. And the problem is, you know, spoiler alert, guys, I have terrible mechanics, like absolutely atrocious. But where I tend to make up for that is I can see the game. I understand where the game is going, where people are going to play. So I play the chess game a little bit better than some people at my level. So I have to take a moment this season and hopefully try and shore up my mechanics. You know, dial in my shots. I know my team has suffered the wrath of crossbars and posts. Myself, I don't know if I'm a little bit different. Maybe it's the hockey bringing up or what it is, but if I know you're going to beat me to the ball, I'm going to take the man. So when I'm rushing or if I'm coming at you, I'm either getting the ball or I'm getting you. So I tend to be a little bit more physical on the field.
I absolutely hate it when that happens. It tilts me so much. When you beat someone to the ball and then they bump you and you can't do anything. Oh, it's so annoying.
I've just checked, and you have 1.13 average per game, 36 total. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's really hard to demo people with that ping.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think you're there, and I see
like the worst part of ping.
Oh man, I'm sure I hit the tail end. Like they should have moved, and then I T-bone someone. I'm like, okay, there's no way I hit them, and they blow up, and I'm going, oh, that was weird. And ghost hits, are. It hasn't happened a whole lot of times. Ghost hits on a normal ping, a 30, 40 ping, right? Your reaction time, most people are 200 milliseconds, 300 milliseconds. So a ghost ping on 120 ping is killer for me, because if I am not anticipating a ghost ping, the ball is going past me no matter what. Like a ghost hit is just messes me right up. So there you go. I've revealed all the cards. I've gone belly up. You've seen the how to take me down, right? Just play the ping, and you guys will be fine, right? But I really believe in our team. Tavish has got a big head on him as well, and he's a star player. We picked up 1 or 2 new people. I can't remember, because we just played one game last week with the new squad. So. I was feeling pretty good about the new guy. For me, Rocket League in a competitive nature is mental for me. Like I always try and remind everyone on the team. Like I'm not the captain, but I try and remind everyone. Like take a minute. It's take a breath. And I think I even mentioned that in some of my castings. You gotta take take a minute to sit down. Concentrate your breathing, because if you get beaten mentally, you're going to get beaten on the field, because you start thinking you can't play this way, or you get tilted, right? Like you're talking about Boopy, you get bumped off the ball if you chip it over someone, right? So the competitive situation, that gets amped up to 11. So you really got to take your moment to collect yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great points in there about our league and about how Rocket League works in general. And yeah, I mean, huge props about stepping up to be a caster. Not everyone feels like they can do it, but you've done it. And if anyone else does feel like having a go, we can, try and give you a trial run, see if you do enjoy it. And RSC can be a springer. It was for me. I mean, I started here a couple of seasons ago, and now I hugely enjoy casting. So do make sure you check it out, or if you want to join any of the staff teams, of course. But I will pass you back over to Buddha now.
Well, finally back to me. Well, I would give you one final question before we let you go. I'm sure we'd love to stay here all night, but I think Archeon wants to sit here streaming for 6 hours probably. But my last one for you, Sight, would be, do you have any kind of future plans of what you want to do here in the EU of RSC, or is it to just chill and vibe?
Well, I'm trying to contribute where I can, right? I'm a problem solver by nature, and what I've been trying to do, I mean, Boopy knows some of it. I've involved him in some of the conversations as he's offered some points. Archeon knows some of the work that I've been doing. I'm trying to find ways that we can add to the league. I've worked in the background creating a better moderator sheet. It's not completed yet, but trying to automate some of that stuff. So I've picked up my old programming roots and done something like that. I've reached out to organizations to about sponsorships and most recently now about show matches. So trying to find other organizations to create content with. So my plans with RSCEU is just finding new ways to be involved. I find EU is a little bit more progressive, as I mentioned. You guys are a little bit more open. There's some flexibilities, and you guys allow someone like me room to move and be able to contribute in a lot different ways, because you guys are, like I said, you're different league. You share the name, you share the same core values, but it's very, very different. So I'm trying to work on different sponsorships, approaching companies. I'm trying to just accentuate how the league progresses, adding my voice to the caster side of things, and just be an all-around nice guy, right? You live up to the Canadian trend.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully one day me and you will get on a cast together. Maybe week 5. You never know. But either way, I know myself, maybe probably everyone else as well. We look forward to see what you bring here in the EU side of RSC. We're all very happy to have you here, and we all love you, Liquid Sight. And unfortunately, we do have to say goodbye to you now. But thank you for coming on.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you a lot, man.
Thank you. Well then, what an absolute great guest that was. But as always, guys, we head over to the clips now. This is where it gets juicy. We start with the clip of the week, guys. I mean, this is where we get to see some bangers and mostly clips that I'll never score in my lifetime. But let's roll clip of the week.
I'm so scared to leave my house, so I cannot run free from this. Always being watched by you, and that's so inconsiderate. My privacy, does that exist? Probably haven't heard of it. Need to live
Well. They do not disappoint. And over here in the little caster room, we love the one scored and Barman there, don't we?
Oh, called him
Why you
out.
gotta do it?
I'm sorry. I mean,
You can even see me in the preview PNG.
I've been bullied enough. It is time we switch it, okay?
Yeah, true. Barman's always calling us out. Let's gang up on him.
Oh dear. But yeah, I mean, they're all great goals. I mean, I did call out Davish about how good that goal was. Maurice and Ace weren't so appreciative, but I had huge respect for it. And for the rest as well. And we were debating whether it's Minty or Spartax's goal, but I mean, it's Minty that does all the work and gets it going on target. And so Acidic's goal, absolutely insane speed. It's a good pass, but he's straight onto it, supersonic, and gets the double. No one from Centurions was getting to that one.
Yeah, well, Barman, I think you'd be happy no one's voted for the Tavish one just yet. So
Let's go.
you're going to be happy about that one so far. But it is pretty close between Endrick, Minty, Acidic, and J Hills. It's very close, but it's two-way tie for now between Endrick and Minty. So make sure everyone in chat, make sure you're voting for your favorite clip there to get your clip of the week winner. But it's great that this week, guys, we've seen 2 prospect clips. I don't think we saw a prospect last week, but either way, we don't really see the lower tiers up here.
Yeah, and I do have to say that first goal from Endrick was so clean, especially from a prospect. Like that clip has mirrored kind of previous double taps that we've seen from, minor and elite. And yeah, I mean, just the control and the way he hit the shot, it was so clean. I think I'd definitely either have to go with Endrick's goal or, of course, Minty's, the double flip reset into the goal. But I voted for Endrick. I want to give Prospect a week. I think the control he had was so clean. So yeah, that's my choice. I don't know about you guys.
Well, I'm sad that the Tavish one's not going to win to bully Barman, but hey, I guess
The people have spoken. They love me too much, but
they love you too much. But either way, the winner of your clip of the week is going to be Endrick from the prospect tier with 10 votes. Minty coming in second with 7, Acidic third with 5, J Hills getting 3, and unfortunately Tavish no votes, but he is respected getting here on the clip of the week. But we will roll the video again just for you guys.
I'm so scared to leave my house, so I cannot run free from this. Always being watched by you, and that's so inconsiderate. My privacy, does that exist? Probably haven't heard of it. Need to live
Oh, there are your clips. Again, congratulations to Endrick, the winner of Clip of the Week number 4. And, respect all those other goals for all the people that got on the Clip of the Week as well. Make sure you do submit your Week 5 clips heading into the Week 5 recap, which will be obviously next Monday. But, after seeing some really nice goals here, guys, we get to go to fail of the week. And this is where we get to see, this is the cherry on top.
Absolutely. I cannot wait for this. I think, yeah, I've completely forgotten what this is as well. So it's gonna be funny to watch.
Well, let's get it underway. I mean, that's just one of those moments when you peak, but it's on your own net.
Yeah, that is a clip of the week in the wrong goal. That is.
How does he get there? Like,
100%.
ridiculous from entry.
Well, at least
huge
it
props.
bounced, you know? At least it bounced. If it didn't
Not the
bounce,
perfect clip, yeah.
exactly. It would have been worse if it didn't bounce. And yeah, because I feel bad for the man, honestly. And just think, by the way, that's a top elite team, by the way. So if you're down the standings, don't feel bad, because even the top teams are making it here on Fair of the Week. And as we go over to the weekly awards now, we're going to go over obviously starting with the prospect tier as always, and we're going to start and throw over to Barmanitan.
Here we go. We've had the fails, now back to the nice things of the week. We are here in prospect with our new PNG. Starting off with MVP, it's Cicada for his team in Arctic Frenzy, 554 points per game for the man himself. Next is finisher. It's the Fuzzy from the Mages with 1.75 goals per game. Both clear of both the Oberon players and buckets and Mr. C. Next is striker Tubby Custard, comes in as the sub, gets 100% shooting accuracy. May have lost the series, but what more could you ask for than 100% shooting accuracy? Next is your playmaker Joe Robbs, where his teammates couldn't get finisher. He can get the playmaker, 1.29 assists per game for him. And finally, it's Savior Cicada on there again, 3.4 saves per game, a huge number. A defensive wall for Icicle the whole way through the week.
Is this on to me or is this on to Buddha? I believe it's on to me.
Come on, Boopy.
Go for it.
It is on
Go
to
for
me.
it.
Sorry, I forgot. I forgot the rotation here, but MVP of the week for Challenger will be Swift with 481 points per game. Finisher of the week being Mike with 1.75 goals per game. Striker being Patroid with 71% shooting accuracy. Playmaker being Mike again with 1.25 assists. So he's not just finishing, he's assisting as well. And Savior, once again, is Swift with 2.5 saves per game.
Yeah, Boopy forgetting his rotation like he does on the field, but over to the rival tier now. I'll set you up for that one. But in the rival tier, the MVP is going to go to Dan with 505 points per game. Then your finisher is going to be Nova Impulsion with 1.75 goals per game. And Will be Zino with 66.67 shooting accuracy there, grabbing your striker. And your playmaker will be Boblink with 1.5 assists per game. And your savior for this week is going to be Exciteify with 3 saves per game.
Another huge week for all of these players in Rival. But next up, we will have the 5 elite trophies of this week. We start off with our MVP in Limus. I said that he did amazing earlier against Bladesmiths, but he kept that up in his other series to get 471 points per game. Outrageous from the Romanian. Next is finisher, and it is Nick from Luna Io. 1.5 goals per game, beats out Genkinho on the tiebreakers. Striker will be Saju, 71% shooting accuracy for them. Playmaker Limus is on here again with 1 assist per game. Again, another tiebreaker win here. Kinetic and Mercurius, unfortunate to lose out. Finally, Savior Mercurius will get on the board here. This time is 2.63 saves per game, grabs him that award.
And moving on to the Master Awards, when the stream does show for me. Sorry about that. MVP of the week being Zaki with 718 points per game. Finisher of the week also being Zaki with 3.25 goals per game. Striker being Mattiet.
Matty E.T., I think.
That's it. Matty E.T. Sorry about that, Butcher. 70%, but Butcher with 70% shooting accuracy. I'm so sorry, Matty E.T. Playmaker of the week going to Wizard with 1.38 assists per game, and Savior of the week going to Valerie with 2.63 saves per game.
It's because the player was from my franchise, so it just rubbed off onto their Boopy. But
sorry, but had to get you back, mate.
But as we go to the Premier tier, the top tier of them all, your MVP will be Labyrinth with 479 points per game, and your finisher is going to be Pablo with 2 goals per game, and your striker is going to be Rexo with 66.67% shooting accuracy, and your playmaker will be Dansku with 1.5 assists per game, and your savior in the Premier tier is going to be Smokes with 2.5 saves per game.
Northern Irish representative and Premier, getting on the board there for Must2 Fluck. Did really well in the defensive end, but we will move into the team of the week. Each of these players in their respective tiers did an amazing job. We start off with Fuzzy, 4 mages in Prospect, 434 points per game, 1.75 goals per game as well. Almost the highest of any of these players on this graphic, but did really, really well for mages. Next is Mr. Zinx for Xeron in Challenger, 363 points per game, 42% shooting accuracy. Amazing from him. Next, it's almost pretty much the carry for Sorcerers in the Deadly Wet Wipe in Rival, 467 points per game, 0.88 goals per game, 1.26 assists, really stepping up in the playmaker aspect there. Next, it will be Thomas going 8-0 for Eros. 433 points per game gets him the award in Elite this week. Next, it will be the Master Tier KO, who does have the top goals per game of any of these players in 1.88 and 565 points per game. Unbelievable from that man in Luna Esports. And then in Premier, finally, we have both your MVP and your Player of the Week for Dustsucker. It is Labyrinth. The Finnish man himself got 479 points per game, 1.25 goals per game, and all round just an outstanding week from 6 very much individually talented players.
Talented indeed, but that will wrap it up for your weekly awards and your team of the week. But we are going to head over to the Fantasy League now, a fun community game that we like to play here. And your prospect is going to be Killer Goose with 242. And Challenger will be Mr. Deep Sound with 266. And in the rival tier, it will be Beefcake with 290. And in Elite, we'll have a 3-way tie here with Maurice, Arc, and Vector with 276 points. And in your Master tier will be Beefcake, again with 302. And Marbs running it in the Premier tier with 126.
Absolutely. Moving on to, I do believe, the Predictions League. We will be seeing our the Fantasy League, my mistake. The top fantasy people. Friday in 6th place with, wait, I'm so confused.
This is the overall leaderboard.
Why does it say 6th? Anyway, Friday for Prospect.
Because he's in 6th place overall, Boopy.
Oh, no.
Oh, but that's the Prospect colour.
Well, this is just colours. They don't matter.
Oh my god. This is
I'm glad it's not me this week.
Oh no. So Friday
You've got it.
With 4,130. Maurice in 5th with 4,215. Twisted in 4th with 4,228. Archeon himself in 3rd place with 4,320. Mr. Deep Sound in 2nd place with 4,426, and Axlos in 1st with 4,543 points.
AP, I'm so glad you're here with me tonight. I'm so glad it's just not me, but we're going to go over to the Predictions League that has just recently started. In 6th will be B-Shape with 26 points. Larson following up in 5th, winning by 1 point with 27. And in 4th, it will be Friday, shooting up to 41 points. And in 3rd, it will be Andre with 50. And Marbs only 2 ahead in 2nd with 52. And Yo-Yo in 1st with 62 points in the Prediction League. Make sure you go join the Prediction Leagues in the Discord server as week 2 is now underway.
That was your mini game roundup in both Fantasy League and Predictions League. Hopefully we only have the one graphic for Predictions League. Yes, we do, and we move in to the series of the week. But I believe you casted this one, so you can add anything if I miss anything. But a huge matchup between two teams in the Master tier, where Carnage were top, but Gladiators knock out the draw as they did bring it back in games 3 and 4. 3 1-goal games. 1 OT on top of that. Serve got 2 MVPs for his team, but Lovely Cans got one and Friday got one in those other 2 games to bounce back, and they did really, really well to keep pace with the Carnage team that's trying to storm away with it. And Cams did ask me not to mention it, but I am going to mention it. He did lose the the RLI LAN final on Saturday, but he can be slightly more proud of this result, getting a draw against the top team.
Yeah, I mean, this series was amazing. A pleasure to cast as well. And the fact that it's a 2-2, against a mid-table team against the top dogs, it was a phenomenal series to watch. And obviously with the interviews, both players from the respective teams were saying how, oh yeah, we felt like we should have won it. Both teams really feel like they deserve to win. And to be honest, you could not blame them. Both teams played so well. The mechanics came out to play. They showed the perfect rotations, the defense, the midfield possession. It was all crazy. It was all perfect. But what a series it was. So make sure you don't go miss that one out on the YouTube. It's a great series to watch.
Yeah, and we also have a Premier video highlights reel from week 1 of Premier, where we've highlighted everything that went down there. A lot of goals going on in there, so it's a great thing to check out on top of that series of the weeks. And yeah, there's a lot going on in the YouTube, but Boopy, I'll let you take this one because it's your thing again. We'll reinforce this giveaway we're running.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned this last time on the RSCast, but we will be doing a little bit of a competition where we will be sending you 5 clips to edit into a montage. And if you edit them the best, if you win, you will get 3,000 graphics. And potentially...
Again! There's no way!
3,000 graphics! I've said it again!
It's the
3,000 credits! 3,000 credits. You get 3,000 credits and potentially a spot on the staff team as well for you to accept. And obviously, RSC being run by volunteers, we do need the staff to help us out. So this is just kind of a little bit of a way to pay back to the community.
I mean, I wouldn't mind 3,000 free graphics. Would you, Barman? I mean,
that would be pretty crazy.
That's crazy. It's a crazy price that we're running here. There's more info in notices as well if anyone is interested. Arches posted a big notice explaining all the fine details of this, so make sure you check it out and get involved.
Oh, I love that in chat. Boopy, expect that. This is our Gossipy fail of the week. Yeah, because I'm Boopy next week.
Getting roasted by prospects.
Oh, that is great to see. Well, as always, let's see the sponsors of the RSC, powered by Versus Gaming, the Lunar Esports Organization, Badass.gg, and also HyperX. Thanks to all of them. And I mean, lads, what a great night it's been. And you know, I'm glad it's been Boopy butchering Boopy, a double B. It is beautiful, Barman. Yeah, it's been a great night. Don't you think?
Absolutely. Great to talk to you guys again. There's only the one clip on me this time, so I mean, I survived for the most part. Maybe you two you gotta work on it a little bit, but it provides the laughs, and that's what we're here for.
You just have to deal with me and Buddha all night.
Oh, okay.
It's what we do. It's what we're here for. But you know, Barmanitan he's a professional. Me and Boopy, we're just here to rack up the content, basically.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
Either way, it's been a great week. Always a pleasure to host this alongside of you two, and also a special thanks to Archon as well in the background. You know, switching it all for us, and you know, chat. Make sure you are sticking around for the future streams this week for those league games that are going to be streamed. But until then,
get voting as well. Get voting in the stream polls. Don't forget.
Yeah, get voted. See, this is why we have Barman. See, he knows everything. he knows everything in the book. But either way, have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you guys next time.
Everything to fall apart when it's hard to me. 'Cause my only crime